Hello, it's Patricia here from Patricia's Creative Corner. Today I want to show you how I'm going to make these beautiful roses using the Heartfelt Creations Classic Rose die set. Now you can use the stamp and it will give you a totally different look, but today I'm just going to show you how to actually shape using just the die. So I'll just show you the size dies that we're going to be using. Now for the large flower here, I'm going to be using 3 of this large die, 1 of those, 1 of that, and the medium size. For the second size down, I'm going to be using 2 of that size and 1 each of these sizes in here. So you've got a small, a medium and a large in here. So then the size here, I'm actually just going to use this die here, so it's 2 of the large size and 1 each of the smaller sizes. For this cute little rosebud here, this is actually great as a little filler rose as well for your larger flowers. So what I'm going to use here is 2 of these medium ones, that size there and that size there, and 1 of the small one. Now generally do 2 different size buds. So this one here, I'm using 2 petals. I've got 1 of that size, medium, and 1 of the small. And for the little one, I've just used a single little bud. So I've already die cut and coloured some flowers already just to save time. But the tools that I'm going to be using to shape with is the Heartfelt Creations Stylus. And I've got a 6mm and a 3mm ball, and that's the size that I generally use a lot. So, and I'm also going to be using the golf tools. Then these ones are grooved, so you get a lovely groove texture, and it gives you a very realistic looking petal finish. And 1 is a very small one, and 1 is a medium. I'll be using triangular daubers from Heartfelt Creations, and they're really great to use as well. Now, if you look on the back of your die cuts, it's actually got quite a sharp edge. It actually is really rough on your daubers. So I always colour my back of my flowers with the Tim Holtz mini ink blending foams. Now they're cheap and easy to replace, and it means that you can leave your daubers for your colouring in on the front. I'll be using archival ink, magenta hue. Now the reason why I'm using this ink is because it's waterproof, and we're going to be dipping the cardstock in water. I'm using iCraft cardstock, and that has been developed specifically for flower making, and it just goes in the water, and I'll show you how to use it later. We're using Art Glitters Dries Clear. So this is a glitter that I use all the time for all my flowers, for my cards, everything. I very rarely use any tape. I will be using some paper towels and a dish of water as well. So, and I will be showing you how I put my glitter on my flowers, as I've had a few requests from here. So as you can see, I've already coloured some of these in, and what I usually do as well is I will set them up into little sets, and that way I won't forget what I've got. And it's actually a really good way to actually work out how many flowers you actually need, what sizes, etc. And then I just put them on my cards, and then I just pop my leaves underneath. So to get started, I'll just show you quickly how, I'll just put this to one side, just quickly show you how I'm going to colour in these flowers here. So I'm just going to get the magenta ink, and very, very quick, very easy, just circular motion in the centre, and just bring it in on the from the outside. It is, I have got a glass mat, but it's terrible for reflection, so generally speaking I will use a glass mat, which is a lot easier. And also make sure that you clean the mat in between so that you don't get stains from other colours on your flowers or your leaves. So I'll just quickly do this one. And you don't have to be too fussy, because when you put it in the water it will just blend beautifully and often will soften the edges for you. So what I'm going to do now is just going to turn these over, and then I'm just going to get a little bit of colour on my foam and just going to bring it through. You can leave this white, and some flowers are quite stunning. You know, when you look in pictures of roses and stuff, there are flowers that have got a beautiful white finish underneath. So I'll just quickly do this one as well. It's a lot easier with the glass mat, but we'll get there. So as you can see, I'm not being too fussy. You're going to put glitter on anyway, so that's going to hide a lot. So I will just get a damp wet wipe and just wipe that down so that, yeah. So then we're going to get a bowl of water. So it's just plain water, so I'm just going to soak this. And just leave it for a couple of minutes. And to a certain extent, the longer you leave it, the more flexible and pliable it becomes, but you don't want to leave it too long. And I'm a bit impatient as well, and you really do need to make sure that the cardstock is dry enough that it's not going to fall apart when you glue. So you can see already it's starting to get quite flexible. So that'll do. So we're just going to pop this here. So I'll just put that over there. So we're just going to take all the excess water off. And I'm just going to get my mats here. Now I usually use 2 mats rather than one, because I find it gives me a lot more depth and a better impression. So what I'm going to do now is take my grooved golf tool. I don't know if you can see that. And we're just going to shape on the back. Just go from the outside to in. And this actually helps break the fibres, but it also, as I said before, gives you a lovely impression. These are quite new, so they're just finding the groove, so to speak. So we're just going to do that on the outside. Now we're just going to press on the centre with the large ball and then turn it over. And I just like to just press down here just to give it a little bit of a cup shape. And then what I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to get my groove tool again and just grab the end and just pull it over and roll it over. And just keep going around and just doing the same thing. And then I'm just going to go around and just squeeze these in the center like that. And you can see how that the water has softened the colour as well. So I'll just put that with that set there and just bring another one down and just go through that again with you. And then I'm just going to once again press in the centre with a large ball and then just press there to make my cup. It looks like a red shape, but you wouldn't know once you finish shaping it with this tool. And you can see how flexible this cardstock is. And then we're just going to go around here. And once again, we'll just put that in there. As I say before, I like putting them into sets. Now this one here is actually going to go in the center there. So what I'm going to use is the small groove tool, and this is actually going to be my bud. So I found that with the largest size flower, it was too much to put all the different sizes in. So I just found it was a lot easier to actually just do it with that. And I'll show you how I'll put the buds together. So this one here is actually a little wee flower. This is a little bit different to what I do. Now with the buds, center buds, all the smallest sizes, the two smallest sizes, we're going to be actually pushing them in this way. And then instead of turning it over, we're just going to push down in the center to create our bud. Now the very, very little ones, I tend to push them together and just try and bring them up more so it's easier to actually put them in a point. So, and that goes, and the second size, or the largest bud, that's all it is. It's just those two flowers there. So I'll just put that to one side. Now this one here is a little bit different. So we're just going to use a small tool. And this time around I'm just going to turn it over and just use a small stylus of the ball head. So once again, just using the very fine edge, we're just going to roll it over. This reminds me, this little flower here, which is this flower here, it reminds me of a sweetheart rose. So it's a very, very pretty rose. So we're going to just go around and just squeeze again. I don't know if you can see, but you can see all the little grooves in there. So we're just going to push down in the center, and that gives us a nice cup shape. And once again, I'm just going to do the same here. There you go. Just preset out in the center. So yeah, so we'll put a bud with that later. So now we're going to actually get started with actually making the flowers. Now what I tend to do first is I will actually do all my buds first, mainly because it takes a bit to dry, and I haven't actually left it long enough to dry really fully, and it makes it a lot easier. So but it will actually allow it time to dry and set, and it won't fall apart when you actually put the flowers together. So what I've gone and done is gone around this and squeezed all these flowers in. So it's going to make it a lot easier to actually do a bud with a nice sharp point. So what you're going to do is put glue on opposite sides on two opposite petals. So we're just going to push them together. I don't know if you can see clearly. So So just overlapping them a wee bit. So just hold it together. And this is why I leave it to dry, because it just lets it to sit and keep its shape. So we're just going to put glue on all the other ones. And then I'm just going to bring them up and push them together like so. Now this one's for the large flowers, so it's a little bit bigger. I just might put a little bit of glue on here. And the more you play with it, the better and the easier it will get for you. Now there you go, there's your bud. So I'll just go and do the rest of them. So all the little ones I will bring up here. As you can see, I'm still keeping them together as a set because sometimes they roll off the desk and you lose them. And so once again, it's just squeezing them in, some glue on the opposite sides like so, and just pull it together. Now I always like to put some buds in because it just gives you a bit of variety. That card that I showed before, I've used all 6 of these flowers in there. So you can make a card front with just cutting out 3 sets of each die. So there you go. So I'll just let that, just put that in there, and then I won't forget that one. So once again, sorry this is a bit tedious, but it does give you a bit more time to see what I'm actually doing. And in some ways having it a little bit damp makes it a lot easier to actually shape. And yeah, but it just means that it just takes a little bit longer for the glue to dry and set properly. And just put some glue on all 3 of those, and we'll just pull that up again. This one's not going to do what it's told. I'll just put a bit of glue on again. I don't mind the second layer coming apart a wee bit because sometimes it looks quite nice. It's just starting to unfurl. And you will find that once you get going, you'll get your own style on how you do your flowers, and they could well be quite different, but I'm just hoping that I'll give you a sort of an idea of where to actually get started with making roses. These roses are the best flower roses I've come across in terms of making your own. Heartfelt Creations do the best flowers. Full stop, end of story. So we'll just pull that up again. So once you get into a rhythm, it gets a lot easier. And it does definitely make it a lot easier if you do squeeze it in, and it gives you a much better shape. And once again, we're pulling that up. It's just the one more to do. put that to one side. That'll be our single bud. So what I'm going to do now is actually take the next size. Now this is the one that is a middle size die cut. So we're just going to put glue on all the petals this time, and a good dollop, and then we're just going to push this in the center and then close it up. And that gives us our center, but it also can give us one of our, with the other larger bud. And they don't actually have to be perfect, because nature is not perfect. Now this one's actually a little bit of a better shape, so it's going to actually curl in a lot better. As you can see. But actually that one doesn't look too bad, because it looks like it's just unfurling, so there we go. And then the final one here. So we'll let them sit and set and let that glue dry. And then so what I'm going to do now is just start putting these together. So I'll just get that larger. So this is the largest size. So what we got here is we got 3 of the largest one, and then one of that second size on that die, and then one of the largest ones there. And this is the bud that we did a bit earlier. That was the middle size of the other set. So we're just going to put this together, and you can see that the earlier ones I did they're just a wee bit too wet, so they haven't really shaped terribly well, but we will push it together and we will push down to get a lot better shape. So when you're actually putting your roses together, just try and offset them if you can. They can be a bit tricky sometimes. And then just press down in the center. What you're wanting to do is actually get a nice cup shape, and it makes it a lot easier to put them together. So once again, I'm going to put, actually I've done that, sorry, I've done that wrong. No, it shouldn't be. Yeah. No, that's right. Getting my sizes all mixed up here, but that's why it's really important for me to actually put them into sets. So I'm just going to push that over a wee bit, and then we're just going to push that down. As you can see, I've actually offset it, push that down. And because it's still a little bit damp, you can still go ahead and just shape. So there's more here in the center. Now this is that second size in that large die set. And we push it down so we're getting a nice cup shape. And this is that large one. I have found, as I said before, that putting too many in here is just a little bit too bulky for my liking, but you might like more sizes there. So we've still got a little bit of flexibility with this. Once it's dry, it dries quite hard, but at the moment we can still do some shaping, we can do lots of different things. Now because I've got a wee little cup, just a wee little gap in there, I'm just going to bring up the glue a wee bit on each side, and I'm just going to put that in the center, the bud in the center, and then we're just going to pull that together, push it in, and there you go. Look at that. Now this is the next size down, so this is to the smaller size of that large die set. So once again, glue in the center, offset it, press down, And we've still got a little bit of flexibility with that card to shape afterwards if need be. So this is getting into the smaller dies. And we're just going to press down in the center. Now I might just go down a little bit with a smaller die. And once again, we can just bring that in, shape it. It's still a little bit damp, that card. And this is where we put some glue up the sides and down center. And we will put one of the buds in here. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? And I'll often just sit here and play. I'm terrible at playing with my flowers until they're set. And just getting them working into a nice shape. And I might just shape these a wee bit more out the back around here. There you go, look at that. This is the third size. As you can see, once you get the shaping and stuff, it's actually not that difficult. So I'm just going to put that in there. And sometimes it can be quite hard to just get it overlapping properly. But as I said before, it doesn't really matter too much because nature's not perfect. So we're just going to put some glue up the sides and in the center. And we're just going to put one of these in here. And just bring that up. I think I'm just a wee bit too damp and I might have to just use the heat gun, just dry this a wee bit later. Now this is a little wee Sweetheart Rose one, so I'm just going to put some glue in the center and offset this one. Now this one's a little bit trickier because it is smaller, so, and I find sometimes they come all sorts of different shapes, but as I said before, they're actually quite nice to put on as full as for other flowers. So I'm just going to pop that in the center, and there you go. Look at that. So once again, we've got all these. And there you go. So, and usually what I would do is then lay them down like this and something similar to that. And then I will put my leaves around it. So that's all there is to it. So what I'll do now is I'll just put these to one side and I'll just get some dry roses that I did before and actually show you how I put some glitter on. I found with putting glitter on you really do need to make sure you dry it first, otherwise the glitter combined with the damp sponge will actually make it so that you lose your shape. So what you're going to do, and I use a Scotch-Brite, and I got this from Rajni, so I just cut these up and they'll just last a long time. So, and I just cut them up into little cubes like that. So I'm just going to get some water, spritz some water on here, and I'm just going to put some glue on here. Now because I've got a lot of white on here, I will use frosting powder, and I usually put my frosting powder in a big container like this. This way you're not going to get so much wastage and spillage, and it's a lot easier. And so all I'm going to do is just dab it on the outside and make sure that you're getting all of it. And I like frosting powder when it's got a nice white sort of a finish to it, because it comes up with a really frosted look rather than a crystally glittery look that you get with the crystal clear. Depends on what I've got as to what glitter I use. So then I'm just going to sprinkle it over. So there you go, and it just comes out, I don't know if you can see the glitter. So, and I've done a pretty good job. You can go back over it and just put a little bit more glue on and try and get it a more even cover. There you go. So that's all there is to it. So I hope you have learned a lot, and I hope that you go away and have a play. So, but you might find that you might like things a little bit differently in terms of the number of petals that you use, or you could like just what I've done as it is. So I look forward to seeing what you make.